How's it going, guys? It's Eclipse here, and today we're going to be looking at potential things coming into the big update that will next be implemented into the game. Obviously, there's been loads of small updates as to the weekly updates that we get, but I think that today's video is going to be centered around what we're expecting for the massive update, update 6.0-esque, where they've brought in lots of new things. We're going to have a look at what sort of things that Wargaming have talked about personally, and then we're going to give it over some ideas as to what I hope that will come in as of this update, and also the sort of maps that we might be seeing, some of the content that we might be seeing, and also some fixes and patches that we'll be seeing as part of this. Now, to begin with, we've had a teaser. You can see the teaser on screen right now. This is Tanker Alloys join forces. Now, whether I think that this might be some sort of game mode that they combine tanks to fight against one tank, maybe. They've been saying about this M1 Abrams, whether it's like a small event game mode where one person plays in the M1 Abrams against 5 random tanks that are currently in the game. So, some of the old tanks against the new one. I'm not entirely sure. It could be something to do with that. We can go into Photoshop and we can have a look at some things amplified. If we go down, you can read some text right here. Although it is quite blurry, is that to that end, a system for battlefield cooperation has been proposed and accepted and now stands for implementation. The systems would be implemented probably around the globe. So we don't know what this is yet. Maybe it is some sort of new tank line. Maybe it is the modern tanks like we've talked about. Maybe it isn't. We don't really know, and it's going to be interesting to see what they've got on this front. Obviously, it's just a teaser. There's not much I can analyse on this. I think the tank that we have on screen is the M60 pattern, so I don't think we can talk much about that because that's already in the game. I think it's going to be interesting. Maybe it's some sort of game mode. Yeah, we will cover whatever that is when it does come into the game, or when we're given some information on the 6th of April. So we'll cover that ready for you guys and to kind of show you what you can expect. Now, as for update information, we've been given quite a lot in terms of where they're going in the direction for World of Tanks console, the kind of areas that they're looking into, and also some things that we can kind of take hints from to be able to make up our own assumptions as to what's coming in. Now, the first thing that they did talk about is obviously the long haul. Everyone's been going on about the long haul being, not so fun because it's due to wins. So you have to win 75 games in a week to be able to complete it. You can do that twice, so maximum of 150 wins will get you 2 random key cards. They could be top secret, or they could be confidential, or they could be whatever the other one is, classified. Now, obviously that's quite hard considering, on average, the win rate in World of Tanks console is like 49%, I think, or something like that, 48%, which means that for the majority of people, you're going to have to be playing like 340 games, 320 games every single week to be able to complete both of them, which is quite difficult. That's nearly 50 games a day. It's probably looking on around 45 games a day, which is a lot of games for people that only come on casually. I mean, I'm not saying that everything should be easy, but even completing one of those where you need 75 wins is quite hard. I mean, personally, I don't have to go to work because I'm at uni, but even for me, and I've got a 61% win rate, so I'm winning a lot of games, I still don't get this op completed very quickly, and I only manage to usually only do one long haul op for the week, so it's going to be very difficult for someone that works full time and they have to come home, they've got other commitments, and then they hop on. So I think that, looking into it for the long term in terms of the long haul, maybe they should do it over 2 weeks if it's going to be the 75 wins, just to enable, those players that want to really grind it out, then they can. But for people that don't necessarily have that time, looking at maybe having it over that longer period will allow people to be able to complete it. or you can just change it back to the XP like it was previously, 300,000 XP. But I don't know how I'd like it. I think maybe if they just reduced the wins that you needed to do, because I think that's kind of promotes you wanting to do the best possible and not just going into games, YOLOing in, then going into the next game, YOLOing in, just to get the XP. So, yeah, I think the wins are a good way of doing it, but I think that if they were limited down a little bit to, say, 40 wins, and then you get the long haul done, or slightly higher, maybe 45. It would just mean that the most casual players are going to be able to at least complete one of them every week. Now, we've got another big update that will come in, and that's the Super Hellcat. I talked about that in the previous video. That came in on Tuesday. So it will be coming into the game on Tuesday. We've got a few screenshots here for you to have a look at, so we'll go over those, kind of talk about one of the maps that's actually been shown in the background, which is this one. You can see the Super Hellcat here, looks really, really nice in game. It looks almost like a skinned version of like a Hellcat, slap some spaced armor on it, and then they've called it the Super Hellcat. It's gone up a tier. It's got 240 alpha, 160 pen on its standard rounds, and 200 plus pen on its premium round. So you'll be able to go through most tanks that you come up against. You can come up against tier 9s in this thing. So it's certainly going to need that 200 penetration when you come up against the tier 9s. Now, in terms of mobility, it can go 70 kilometers an hour, which is really, really fast for a TD. It's not the fastest, but it certainly will be able to shift in game. In the background here, you see that there is this bridge. I don't know that this has been a map in the game before. I've never really seen this before. Personally, I think it looks like a brand new map. Whether this will be some sort of city-based map or whether it will be like an open map, I'm not entirely sure, but I'm sure we'll find out more about that on Monday when they release some more information on the 6th as well. So I hope that this map will actually enter the game fairly soon, because obviously the Hellcat will come on Tuesday. Whether this map will enter the game on Tuesday, whether it will be a big update on Tuesday, we don't know, but it will be coming into the game very, very soon, and I'm really looking forward to being able to play and having a really good time on these new maps, and also in the Super Hellcat, should I manage to actually pick one up myself. Now, there are a few other things. We were given, as you can see here, an original concept of the Super Hellcat. This is what it looked like. Personally, it looks like, to be honest with you, the M48A2, the 120mm tank. So I'm glad that they went with the original here on screen as opposed to this concept, because I just don't like the look of it, to be honest with you. And I think that the way that they've done it now is actually way better. They also gave a little picture of Lafayette. This is the Lafayette Pools, I believe he's called, and that will come into the game on Tuesday as well, I believe. And then finally we have kind of this teaser was already in the game, a loading screen teaser, and you can see that this is somewhat what I believe to be the T55A. Now, I don't know that this is entirely true, or whether this is kind of a different tank, but you can see they're very, very similar in terms of what they look like, how they look in game. You can see that the cupola of the tank up here and also the monocle are very, very similar. There is actually a stalk for an aerial there as well, which is right here. But it looks like it's been pushed down. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is actually the T55A. You can also see that there's another monocle behind the gun here, right there. So that also makes me believe it is the T55A as well. So I wouldn't be very surprised if this was the actual tank coming into the game. And then maybe, just maybe, we'll see that on Tuesday as well, but we don't really know. and I'm really looking forward to that. If that comes into the game, it's a German tier 9 premium medium tank, so it's not actually a Russian one like it might look. It is actually a German one, so maybe we'll be seeing that in the game very soon as well. I expect you'll have to pick it up with free XP, or maybe, just maybe, it will come as part of the next season pass on console, and then hopefully everyone can pick their this tank up as part of that. Now, I don't know for sure, this is only speculation, and you can see for yourself whether you think it's that one, whether you think it's something else. It would be really nice to see your thoughts. It might even be a modern Russian tank, I'm not entirely sure. But we'll soon find out, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Give me some suggestions as to what you think it could be in game, and then we'll move on to the next couple of things in this video. So we talked about what's definitely coming in. Now we're going to look at some things that haven't really actually been given a date. They've kind of just given the fact that they're talking about them, they're looking into it, and also some things that you can expect for them to do in the next couple of weeks. They're all looking at the bug fixes and improvements which will be added to the next big update. Now, I'm assuming that the next big update will be implemented either at the end of this season, which I think is on like the 24th or 27th maybe. I can have a look right now. I believe it will be the 27th of April will be the end of the season. Once that happens, I think that will be when the new update, or next big update as they've said on screen, will be implemented into the game. I'd really like to see some actual content. I feel like I'm getting a little bit bored with the game now. I mean, I have been playing for quite a long time, but I think that some more actual gameplay related changes are going to be fun. You know, more game modes, some new maps, something to test out on the game. And I mean, I'm really hoping that comes in this update. They've said that the reload timer fix should be included in this. I'm not entirely sure whether that just means that you can actually see your reload timer on screen in game, because it doesn't show sometimes. They'll also be returning the original red colour from pre 6.0 into the HUD, which will hopefully be on Tuesday, so note that will probably be coming in on Tuesday, as well as a new minimap flag icon, which we can actually see, and they're kind of wanting us to give our opinion as to which one you actually prefer. Now, personally, I don't really have a problem with the current flag, to be honest with you. I think that, in my personal opinion, the current one is absolutely fine. Version B maybe is slightly better. Version C I'm not a big fan of. It's way too big, and I think it covers up a bit too much of the screen. So I would say version B maybe for people to actually implement in the game. But to be honest, I'd rather just have a round circle. I don't know why they've gone for the diamond shape circle or square, whatever you want to say. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you think of the actual minimap flag icon, and then we'll move on very, very quickly. We'll talk about that in the comment section, and maybe Wargaming will actually implement that in the game. Maybe I'll collate some data from the comments and then give that to Minto to be able to use himself, and then kind of, you know, maybe implement something that you guys actually wanted for a change. They're reviewing the T22 medium balance changes and looking at further balances on a tank by tank basis. So not only are they looking at the T22, they'll be looking at other tanks in the game. I mean, they do this anyway, I'm not going to lie. It kind of feels like a bit of a blow off, to be honest. Yeah, they'll be looking at balances on a tank by tank basis, and I think there's lots of tanks in game that are just absolutely overpowered, and if they actually looked at the balances on a tank by tank basis, like the Hellcat 105, you know, you're looking at the Panzer 5.4, they all seem to just forget about the whole balancing on premium tanks, and I think that kind of comes in with their, you know, sales strategy. I think that non-tech tree or just tech tree tanks tend to get balanced a lot more, and premiums don't really ever get balanced after they've gone into the game. I'd like to see them actually do that with some of the premiums, because it is unfair for new players that don't necessarily know about them. And I'm just hoping that gets sorted out as well. I mean, the T22 medium, I hope that they don't change it too much more. I think that it's in a better place than it was previously to the update and buff to the tank, and hopefully that is reflected in the balance changes and the statistics that they've got for that. They've said that ranked battles will be returning in the future, and that when I looked at the community poll that they put up as to whether they want it as a separate game mode or not, it actually was on a separate game mode. So you can see here the community feedback was that it wanted to be in a separate game mode. I mean, I'm absolutely fine with that. I think that is the best way for them to do it. I don't want to have to be sweating my arse off every single game for 2 weeks or however long that they run the ranked battles for, and then get a reward that is just rubbish anyway, that I didn't even really want. And I'm glad that they've done it that way. Now, one of the biggest thing that has been coming into the game is that there will be a new garage coming into the game, so you guys will be pretty happy with that. I know that the garage currently I really don't like. I don't think it's very nice. It's not visually appealing. I mean, it's kind of that singed war kind of torn landscape. I'd much prefer the old garage, and I think that will probably be reflected in the next update. So remember to keep your eyes on that. It may be adaptive, so I don't know what they mean by that. Maybe they'll actually have some effects in the background. Maybe they'll be able to actually choose what you have in the background. So you might be able to choose whether you want in a field, whether you want it in the traditional garage. I don't know, but obviously they're thinking about that sort of stuff. As for the garages, and also cosmetically what you actually like to see. Now, they've also said that there will be more tank skins planned in the future. For the next big update, all new premium tanks planned to have skins. So in the next big update, there will be skinned versions of every single premium tank that comes into the game. So remember, if you want to pick up the premium tank, often they'll just package it with the skin for a larger price, or you can just buy the standard premium tank without the skin. Usually the skin is approximately like 1,500 gold for you to be able to pick it up with the skin as opposed to without. But remember, what they do is when they say you can get the skin, although the skin might only be 1,500 gold, often you have to pay for extra things within that top bundle where the skin is in order to get that. So yeah, you might get the skin for 1,500 gold, but you might have to pay 1,500 gold as well extra for premium time that you might not have even wanted, but that's the only way to get the skin. So that's a kind of a dodgy tactic that has been used in the past, and I don't know whether that will be in the game. It's like with some of the bundles that they have in the store, they'll actually put ammunition in the bundle in order to increase the price of gold, which they take from the cost of one premium round being in gold, being like 15 gold or whatever it is. And then what they do then is then give you 20 rounds, which might cost 300 gold, and then they'll add that to the price of the bundle. Say if you bought a snake bite, they might add premium ammunition into it, so that although you get a 50% saving, it's actually 40% because they've just put in some premium rounds in there that have boosted the gold price of the bundle. So when they sell it at 2,800, instead of it being 5,600 for the actual tank, it might have only been 4,800. So they've just added an extra amount of gold onto the bundle and then reduced it by 50% so that you don't actually get that much of a saving on the actual tank itself. So remember, when you look at a bundle, make sure to see if it has ammunition attached to it, which boosts the price of the bundles in gold way higher, and then they reduce it by 50% on that. So just keep a note of that, because it's helpful for enabling yourself to know whether you're actually getting a good deal or not. Often with the multi-bundle tanks that doesn't happen, but if it does have ammunition, if it does have premium time, remember to take that into account when you buy the bundle. Now, additionally, they are looking at getting more tank skins as well for tech tree tanks that are coming into the game. Whether that will be including the ones that are already in the game, or whether it will mean that they'll be only looking at new tanks. I'm expecting Italian heavy tank line to come in fairly soon. I think that is the next step for console. I think wheeled light tanks are a little way off, and I don't know if they'll implement them. I'm kind of personally in two minds. I think that personally I'm a little bit biased because I like the marks on French tanks, hence why I tend to have British and French tanks 3 marked, and I prefer to have those 3 marked. But I do think that from a balance standpoint and a game health standpoint, that the wheeled light tanks probably shouldn't be in the game at all. And I think that unless they got a significant nerf, and I mean a proper significant nerf whereby one aspect of their gameplay was just absolutely terrible, then I don't think that I would want to see them in the game as they are on PC. Now, these new skins, whether they'll be able to be earned by playing certain tanks, I kind of like the idea of, if you want to get a skin for a tank, you have to grind it out, and that's the only way you can get it. Kind of like on the camos on Call of Duty, when you complete so many challenges, you'll be able to receive the camo, and it kind of gives you recognition for playing the tank more. Maybe hopefully that will come into the game on console tanks to be able to give you something extra to do, because I feel like right now I'm in a bit of a spot where I've kind of gone down all of the tanks I like. I'm starting to go down tank lines that I really don't even care about, and when you're getting constant 2-tier plus matchmaking where half your team just decides that they're going to camp at the back and they're not going to do anything, and you're sat there in something like a Type 4 heavy, what are you going to do against people firing premium rounds at you when you've got absolutely no support in the place where people really should be going on maps? So I'm really hoping that they'll kind of think about that for the future as well. Now, additionally, they have talked about being able to customize your tank a little bit more. So in the PC version of World of Tanks, you can actually customize your tank a whole lot more in terms of what it looks like, what color it is, adding ahistorical elements that aren't actually historically accurate. So in terms of PC, you can actually color your tank bright pink, you can color your tank purple, green, and all sorts of different colors depending on where they are, and this costs gold, I believe, or you can pay for it with silver, depending on what you want on your tank. I think some things cost a little bit more than others, and I think it's a good idea, but I don't know whether they should really be focusing on that right now. I think it gives you kind of something extra, gives you a bit of personality to whatever tank you're playing, and as long as they give an option to turn off the ahistorical elements, I think that's absolutely fine. For those of you who don't want to see bright pink tanks, then just turn it off, because there's no point in complaining about something that can really be easily avoided if they just give the option. So they're looking into that for everyone to have, and if you don't want to see it, then it won't be a problem for you. They'll also be looking at more emblems coming really soon. So there's an A-up or A-up emblem coming into the game, so remember to keep an eye out for that. Whether that's something that you're interested in, putting more emblems on your tank, then that's for you. So there's a lot of customization stuff coming in on this next big update, and hopefully a few new tanks as well. And by the all new premium tanks, I don't know if that is going to be something where it's a whole new thing. So whether that be just it being new premium tanks, I think that the fact they've added it all new in there means that it could be something like completely brand new that we've never seen before. So maybe it will be a console exclusive. Maybe it will be mercenary tanks, more mercenary contracts, because they have talked about that. There's a lot of hype around mercenary contracts, the machine being overpowered. There's lots of overpowered mercenary tanks. You're looking at the hard case. A lot of them are just slap spaced armor on tanks that are already overpowered. Grab a few different tanks, take the best parts of them, slap them into one tank and call it balanced. often they're just way better than the counterparts at tier 10. The machine, just a better Skoda or a TVP T5051. You're looking at the hard case, it's just a better T10, to be honest with you. And it's just that kind of thing where the mercenary tanks were just overpowered. I hope that if that is what is coming in this next big update, lots of brand new mercenary tanks and brand new tanks, that they do consider that they shouldn't just be adding in broken tanks, and that sometimes it is nice to have a tank that is an underdog. It's still reliable, it's good enough to be able to play and be competitive, just it doesn't have to be broken, like for people to want to play it. I remember back in the day, the AMX CDC was a tank I really wanted because it kind of had that playstyle where, you feel like you're the underdog, and sometimes you can have really good games if you try hard enough and you get into positions, use your tank well, you can have those good games. But now it just feels like if I was to jump in the CDC, I'm just getting slapped about by literally every tank in the game. The accuracy on the move is terrible, and maybe they should be looking at tanks like that to actually update, to be honest with you, because although implementing new tanks in, it just makes the old ones less and less used, and maybe looking at balancing some of the old tanks that are in the game might be a better way of spending some of their time. And then finally, it's probably one that people don't really care about, it's the Spectator HUD is still being worked on right now. What I do want to recommend to Wargaming to actually take a look at is the replay system in console, because it is terrible. I'm not going to hold back. It is terrible. If I want to look down the scope of my barrel, if you then take a shot at someone, basically a massive puff of smoke comes up, so you can't even see where you've aimed. There's no highlighting on the replay function, so I can't even see, people can't see what I'm aiming at in terms of when I'm looking down the barrel. There's no aiming reticle, or no, there is an aiming reticle, but it's actually server side as opposed to the client side, so where I'm aiming isn't necessarily where it's aiming on the actual screen in the replay system, and it just, to be honest, for lack of a better word, it is shite. It is terrible. And I guess for those of you that want the cinematics, but for those of you that want to use it as an actual replay system to record your gameplay that you might have missed using whatever recording software you usually use, it's terrible, and I'm really hoping they look into maybe potentially doing that in the future, because right now it is shocking, and I'm hoping that they'll look into that. Now, I know this video has been pretty long. Obviously, it's been going on for about 28 minutes now. There's been a lot of talking about things that have happened in World of Tanks console, and giving some opinions on the certain things that they're looking at. There's loads of stuff we can talk about, and I kind of like doing these videos where we can kind of get a conversation going. I like seeing what you guys put in the comment section. I like hearing what you say, seeing your opinions, whether you think that one change is going to be good, whether you think that another change is going to be even better, whether the devs should be looking in a different direction. I think having this critical analysis of stuff that is coming into the game is really important, because if you just don't give any opinions, people just assume what they're doing is right. Now, when we be critical of stuff, it's important because it gives the person doing the changes or making the changes an opportunity to go, maybe I should be focusing on something else. So I think that's really important. Make sure to leave your comments down in the comment section down below. If you want to check out some more content on the channel, there will be some on screen right now. Make sure to subscribe to be able to keep up to date with the latest World of Tanks console news and update information, and also stay part of this community, give some feedback, and hopefully I can convey that to Minto and some of the community liaisons for you guys, and also stay tuned for some more polls that will be coming out today and also tomorrow on the community tab of the channel. Now, I hope you guys do have a good weekend, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day today, and I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.